thank you. I'm glad we were able to find another way to chat, even though we're both in New York, and we figured this out. So thanks so much. Wanted
Sure.
to catch up with you today and hear how things are going. What are your thoughts about how things are in New York now?
Well, you know, things are starting to open up.
Yeah.
So next week, you know, round two, phase two. So we're a little excited about that. Already making some reservations at Odeon for
Yeah.
businesses outside.
Yeah.
Like I saw their table. I biked right by there yesterday, and I saw their tables with little signs like "Make reservations," and I'm like, "Let's do it." Uh,
Yeah.
so it's good to support, but obviously social distance, wear the mask, big, supporter of that, of course.
Yeah.
And in terms of what else is going on in the city, it's sad, and voices need to be heard. That's just kind of what, and it's being done pretty peacefully. So I'm proud of
Right.
you. It's like
Yeah. I
we
mean,
just
I
tough.
was in the garment center yesterday and I felt like the New York I love, it's been battered.
Yeah,
It's gone
yeah,
through some tough, and being in a business district is different than when you're in a more residential district, and to see the differences there. But I was surprised how few businesses were open in the garment center. Only about half the restaurants were, because I stopped by one of them, to Arno's, where I go quite frequently,
I love
and
all
he
that.
said,
That's
I
like
everybody loves
it's my own
Arno's.
spot with all the garmentos and
Yeah,
tone people,
it's
and yeah.
right. It's just that institution that we all love. And we had served 4 lunches yesterday, and that was at 2 o'clock. I mean, you say, how can a business run? And without the foot traffic in the garment center, who's there in our building? We're at 537th Avenue. There are 40 people in the building all total.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think this summer is definitely going to be a challenge for many of the businesses if they do open.
Sure.
But I think, like you said, I'm proud of New York and have done things peacefully. I think the governor has been excellent as a leader
Right.
for what the city needs.
Yeah.
But it's good to hear that you're out riding your bike and getting
Yeah.
around.
Oh, that's basically in nature.
Yeah.
It's been pretty incredible. I either go by my, just to go grocery shopping or just to get some exercise. My dog loves to sit in the basket, and we just like do that for like, an hour for lunch. And, it's just, end of March, April was a little gloomy, I gotta say.
Yes.
Plus we were just in the thick of it. And the numbers, we watched Cuomo every day, Coffee with Cuomo, and the
Yeah.
numbers were shocking. And it was so depressing. The weather was depressing. It was just, and like, we didn't know how to handle it. We didn't, we weren't real Zoomers, and we weren't, but what, everybody did it. And I work 50% of my business is on the West Coast. And so we're doing we're doing fittings via
Yeah.
Zoom, and it's working, and it's really kind of teaching us a new way of thinking,
Right.
and it's a way of like, wow, do I really have to go to LA every 10 days? Huh. I
Yeah.
guess not. So it's really an interesting time, and as sad as it all is, it's just making it. I know that in other videos, a lot of people talk about reset. I think it's about
Yeah.
reinvent. It's
Yeah.
reinvent.
Right.
And, we'll talk about that a little bit more with, in terms of the business side of it and fabric side, but I think everything's a big reinvent,
Yeah.
even socially, I mean, I'm thinking that, wow, you know what? Maybe I can go out to the burbs and get a little place that's not
Yeah.
only on the weekends. Do you know what I mean? So I've
Yes.
been going to Connecticut and beekeeping with one of my best friends, which has been super great because we got to save the bees,
Yeah.
Um,
That sounds like a fun. You're not worried at all about getting stung, or?
Oh, no, no.
Oh,
I mean, I wear the garb, but
okay.
I don't zip up all the time. I don't know if I'm trying to just like be daring or they
Yeah.
actually really not interested in you. They just
Oh,
want to
okay.
fly around, and, we just check the hive, make sure it's doing what it's doing, and the queen is okay. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's different. Yeah. Now, what have you noticed in the differences between LA and New York during this time, and kind of the mood of the community, of the industry?
Um, I have to say, not much of a difference.
Okay.
Not much of it. I mean, one of my clients is heavy with New Yorkers. So we're, we're go, 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 not that they've been sneaking into the office, but they have to go and just get some samples. And, I mean, I think that that's perfectly okay because there's like one person going into a huge building.
Yeah.
One of my other clients, they've been more cautious but yeah, no, I think that it's business as usual. I have to say it's business as usual. Like we're designing new product. We're working with mills on getting new, protos in and proceeding with, prototyping and shipping. It just, we've been doing less air shipment, more boat shipment because we really don't, besides the fact that air shipments are so expensive right now with lack of but that we're still proceeding and units really haven't been cut.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say knock wood. And the clients that I have there and even here have really healthy online businesses, not only brick and mortar. So, it's been good. It's been okay. It's been okay.
Yeah.
Everybody has furloughing and,
Yeah. Well, you have a bit more optimistic viewpoint than many other people, it seems. So perhaps it's also the brands that you're working with or your projects or even you. It's your view on things. But yeah. And so do you see a lot of changes from the design side and what you've been working on, fabrics, silhouettes? Have you seen any major differences from pre-pandemic times?
I'm seeing a lot more natural, cotton rich, interest in hemp and bamboo, interest in recycled. Like I think that the whole sustainability is just like, I think everybody kind of want a little bit more of really want that sustainable product or something that's more natural. I think nature is really like affecting a lot of people and it just, they just, like they're going away from synthetics. And if it is synthetic, then do you have it recycled? Where before it was just like, as long as it's, as long as it, the recovery is great, I'm just getting a little bit more requests for that. I think that we internally in the denim world are talking a little bit more about, health and wellness, maybe antibacterial, antifungal, and maybe that's just because we're thinking that that's what people are going to want. So I think that that's more an internal conversation amongst us.
Right.
But the brands are definitely looking for more, let's say, natural, rich fabrics.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm a little skeptical on the antibacterial, antiviral. I mean, I just feel that sometimes it goes kind of the whole marketing overload. And can you really quantify that? Yeah. Does that really make someone feel better? And then any topical treatment's going to wash out anyway. So
I agree with you. I just think that it's still a conversation. And
it is for sure.
Everything has to be quantified. Like, I was working on another product and, the fiber company, you had to pass really stringent testing to prove that this actually did what it said it was going to do, and I think that really is up to each fiber company or fiber brand, like you guys, of course, I've worked with you, I mean, I think that that's important to say that this is what it is. And there's a lot of marketing hype behind that, which I'm not going to buy into. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll work with the mills and just say like, wow, this is great, but where's the numbers behind it? It's just like the whole sustainable thing and like factories saying how sustainable they are. And it's like, they'll give me information, they'll make these cute videos and it'll, they'll say like, oh, 10,000 gallons of water saved in an hour. I'm like, well, out of what?
Yeah.
Like what percentage? And then it comes out to be 15%. I'm like, well, you're not trying hard enough.
Right.
So I think that but are people interested in sustainability? Yes, I think that they are in every aspect, from the fabric to the manufacturing, washing, and even shipping. Like I'm getting requests now from some of my clients like, hey, do you have compostable plastic bags? And they're asking those questions, knowing that it's going to be more expensive.
Right. No, it's good. I'm glad to hear, the challenges I think we all need to put forward to each other. But yes, you can manipulate numbers in many different ways. And I see that. I mean, I just saw this too with some of the headlines that the traffic is increased at retail stores. Yes, it's increased from last month, but you know, last month was so bad. So any way that they manipulate numbers, it's so true. But
Yeah.
and yeah, and you were talking about some of the fabrics. So next week you're going to be on Kingpins.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what day and time are you going to be on?
Oh boy, I'm so bad. I don't know.
Oh,
I have to look that up tomorrow. Sorry. I was really talking to Amy Leverton about my vintage collection. I have a kind of an insane vintage collection. So we just highlight, this is some of them here. So we just highlighted, you know, some of my favorites and, you know, how we use them for design inspiration, wash inspiration. So that's really what that conversation was about. So, yeah.
Cool. All right, good. So everyone can check the schedule. It's on Kingpins. I just saw it yesterday, and I started to go through it. I did not. I need to have it. I need to highlight exactly, but some really interesting talks, and I was very impressed with the Kingpins team that they really evolved the show from what they did in April. And so I was glad to see that there was a conversation with you as well. So
yeah, it looks great. Great roster. I'm excited. I just didn't look at my time, but
yeah,
I think a lot of people also watch it afterwards. Do you know what I mean? I think that not necessarily the time that it's being posted or, you know, or being played. I think it just randomly through that week they pick and choose, you know.
Yes, on demand. Yeah, it's a little hard to sit all day in front of your screen like that and only watch Kingpins. We love it, and we always love our trade shows, but it does make it a little hard. Yeah.
When you sent that invitation, you're like, oh, I miss everybody. You know, it was a gathering, and I know one of your talks, Michelle Branch, said it was so poignant what she said, like, we kiss enough people for 1 million people in one trade show.
Yeah.
And it's all like friends, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I know it is hard when you see someone and you can't really give them a hug, and it's knowing, and I think that will be something interesting. Yeah. And we're doing a talk too with Kingpins. Ours is on Tuesday at noon, and it's the future of denim trade shows. And I had the fun opportunity to interview together in a roundtable discussion. So it's Andrew Mustaf from Denim Expo. We have Sebastian from Blue Zone, Guillermo from Denim PV, and then also Olaf from Messe Frankfurt Tex World. So that
really interesting.
Yeah, it was a fun conversation. We had it a couple weeks ago, just, you know, to get everything together. And, you know, there's a lot happening now with all the trade shows and changes within all those organizations. But I think it goes back to how do they build the community, you know, and through this time, it's really important to have the sense that we can all have a platform to get together. And, you know, I think this is where there are a lot of questions now, and some of them that I want to get your input on that are being tossed out there. One of them is around this whole notion of seasonless. And, you know, this came up of, do we need the calendar the way we've had it in the past? How do we change the designs? Do they need to be more seasonless? What do you think about that? I mean, does it still inspire the consumer to want to have something new?
I think that there's always going to be certain seasonal silhouettes and washes just because that is what people want. I think that 5 pockets are really definitely going to be more seasonless. I think that fabric weights are going to be more seasonless. I think that one of the problems that I have, and this is not only working with 4 brands prior to, you know, my consulting company, but working with brands, and again, no shaming, but I think there's a problem internally with a lot of companies. I think that, you know, this is what I was saying about reinventing. Like for the last 20, and this is not only retail, but also internally in the companies. Like, you know, you have design that wants to do something that's new and fresh, and you have sales that's always looking at LY numbers, you know? So I think that there has to be more synergy between those two, you know? And I think that what happens is because everybody's trying to satisfy each other, whether it be, ego or it be title, you know, what you end up doing is over skewing yourself. You're over prototype. You over prototype by 3 times, sometimes 4 times in some companies. And that's just to be PC, you know, and I get that. But what happens is you go into like a proto meeting, you throw things up on the wall, see what sticks, see what everybody's okay with. Then you produce, and you only produce, you know, sales and merch typically produce more of what they love. Design gets a little bit less. You go into the stores, you have a hodgepodge of things. You brought it in at the wrong time.
Right.
And now it's like the perfect storm for markdowns. Perfect storm for markdowns between not being time correct, where now, and also just having no point of view. I mean, people just walk into the stores and just like, tell me what to buy. Tell me what it is. Like, you know what, give me the information and do it like in a really short, brief way. You know, why should I buy this? Why is this so great? Why, you know? So I think that has to change. Oh, now I see you. Sorry, Tricia.
Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry. You know, we've literally trained, you know, by putting puffer jackets in retail at the end of July, we've trained them that we know that in September it's going to be 60% off.
Yeah.
What we do is we automatically bill markdown dollars into that product, which means that we're not making a great product because we have to cheapen out on the fabric. We have to cheapen out on everything. So, and I think that this is the time, like I said, not to restart, but also reinvent. Like I think now is the time. We've just been stagnant for 3 months.
Yeah, for sure.
The market was demanding this, I have to say. In a strange way.
No, I mean, this is what it's going to take. We were in this vicious cycle, right?
Cool.
And I think like what you're saying is within every company, it's who has the lead, who has the power. And when it gets driven on these numbers, you know, that don't really make any sense. And if it's always about, you know, how do you do better, this number, that number, and maybe even in this reinvention, it's changing how companies evaluate themselves. And I have a lot of conversations around circularity, and it's how do you measure circularity within what you're doing? Because it's not necessarily going to be on your bottom line. And everybody is based off of sell more. Maybe it's not that any longer. You know, how do you be more efficient? How, you know, so if we reinvent to the right level, you know, including the right consumption level.
Right.
This is a change.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right there. I think that it's just really looking at every SKU really for what it is. And, you know, if you're paying a little bit more for it, or you're charging a little bit more for it, and you have enough, you know, and I don't want to just say, because people do buy not only on impulse of how it looks, but also on, I think nowadays, especially with the millennials and younger, it's like, what is it doing? Do you know what I mean? Like, what is this? And really be transparent about that. You know, and I think that you could just have fewer SKUs that are narrow. Like, you know, you walk into a store and you see like, oh, high-rise skinny, mid-rise, ooh, comfort skinny. Like how many skinnies? Just tell me what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it also, I mean, a customer can know that it's like a super stretched skinny. All they got to do is go like this. Like, I think that you just have to give the consumer a little bit of credit and, you know, and just come out with the right product and the right merchandise mix.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Will you be changing anything the way you design with having more digital sales? I mean, how do you see that would change anything?
Well, again, I don't have my own brand, but the lines
for your clients. Is that a discussion about how the consumer
No,
behavior?
because I have to say they really do have it down pat. Well, I think what they did do, which was really smart. I mean, they have like a huge loyal following. So, you know, what they did do is like the head designer would you know, go online and maybe do some virtual styling. Do you know what I mean? Or have stuff they already do. Most of my clients already have the, you know, the box that they send 5 items every month to, you know, so they've expanded that. They have the data to know what the customer has bought in the past. So they suggest, oh, last spring you bought this range. Now I think that, you know, this silky bit or this, you know, crop jean work back great into that wardrobe. So, and I think they've been really smart about doing that on a one-on-one basis with customers, which is great because I think that people also wanted that customer interaction. Like they're home all day. So it's great that you have like a Zoom with, you know, a great stylist and they could, you know, and I think that that's something that should continue.
Right.
Because we don't know, you know, how do we know how the you know, the governor's saying that we can open up to full capacity, but what is that going to mean? Are people really going to go to the store? Are they going to be afraid? So I think the more the digitally that you could be more, you know, interactive,
right?
Whether that be sending boxes or just having great Zoom meetings that you can, or even sending swatch boxes or little watch boxes. I mean, a lot of the mills, that's what they're doing right now for us to look at new product. Well, you could do that in a way with a really beautiful, like, sketch and like a swatch. I mean, I think that would be really personal to somebody. It would be a great sale.
Yeah, it is another way of reinventing, connecting with the consumer, or, you know, connecting in the design community. And with that, you know, consumer and gathering the data, what are your thoughts around the interest in sustainability for the consumer and understanding how denim is made and the impacts it has on the environment?
I think there's interest there. I think that the consumer's confused. I mean, my godson is 30 years old and he is, you know, he lives in Bushwick. He's the vintage boy head to toe. And it's not because I trained him. So I did. But, you know, he'll buy, you know, he'll go to Patagonia and get a great fleece jacket because he knows that that's going to be a great fleece jacket. Do you know? And he knows that they're like honest and true about what they're saying and what their point of view is. Right now, it's just like, really? Is this really like, you know, and maybe because he grew up with a Garmento mother and godmother, maybe he's a little bit more aware, but his girlfriend is also really aware of that too. Like, you know, what she's doing is she's taking like t-shirts and cutting them, and she's like really creative and making a halter top out of it. Like they're taking their shorts and jeans and cutting it into shorts. They're like, you know, and you know, stuff. And these kids have jobs. It's not like they don't have money. They just want to spend it on other things. So I think if you do tell the right message and you do it in a short, brief way, and you're really true about it, because I think the whole traceability, what we're going through with traceability in terms of our health and what Bloomberg's working on here in New York, is good. That the same traceability is absolutely going to filter down in a bigger way than what we were discussing 6 months ago. Yeah. To really know where, you know, is that factory really true to what they say that, you know, what they're doing and how much water they're saving and you know, how little electricity they're using, or, you know, would be it. So I don't know if that answered your question, but
no, I think,
you know,
I mean, I think again, as we reinvent, build back better, whatever, you know, you want to say, it's how do we integrate sustainability, and not only for the planet, but also on the social side, because I think that's something we have to address, and current issues are bringing that to the forefront right now too.
Yeah, you know, I also think that, you know, the idea of more is better, it's now less is more.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I remember going to Italy. I consulted for Marcelli for quite a few years with Giovanni, and you know, the guys in that area, in the Bassano area, like these guys all had money. They, you know, whether they be the accountant that was at the restaurant for lunch because we go to lunch at the same place, but you know what? They had the most amazing wardrobe, the most amazing, you know, jeans, but they only had like 5 of them. And I'm a fashion person, so I see this. I see these amazing tailored suits. But you know what? I would go there every 5 weeks. So the guys, they'd still be wearing the same suits, but they would be impeccably cleaned. And like, our culture is just, we're just huge consumers, like to a grotesque level. So I think that has to stop, you know? And I just think that that's something that we have to be wary of. And I think that the younger generation is more wary of that. You know what I mean?
Yes. No, this constant consumption. And so I think it's, in a lot of different ways, whether it's the media, Instagram showing that you need a new outfit every time you're having a photo.
Right.
So some of this needs to change, but it's also going to change, in our business. Then do we need so many brands? Do we need so many mills? Is there too much denim capacity anyway in the world?
Right.
And I think this is that time where we kind of look at all those factors and where it's kind of exploding together as people change. And let's also face it, it's not just about the consumption, but people are losing their jobs. They don't have the money.
Right.
So it kind of is all coming together at one point.
But, one of your panels that, we're talking about dead stock fabric. And this is something that I've been thinking about for a while. And I think obviously other people have, but, and when you think about mills, how they're so stringent on their minimums, and you as a designer really want that fabric. Be more communicative with the mill and say, what do you have that's like that? What do you, especially for smaller designers? I'm like, and my clients, they can buy the minimums, it's fine. But for smaller designers, and also for smaller designers, they don't have to be so stringent about like, okay, I have to replenish inventory. I have to fill my size scale, so it has to be the same fabric. Quite frankly, I don't think that even big, as long as you have the same stretchability, the same content, that it can wash the same, I think that you can do a little bit, and that's going to make it more personal. It's going to make it more different than the other one. So I think that we have to be a little bit more like, work with the mills.
Yeah.
Work with the mills and say, hey, you know what? I know that you don't have this warp, so we're going to have to make, 17,000 yards of it, but what else do you have that's like that? Because I could be open to it. Like, I don't know if that's going to filter down again in big companies to like from
Right.
design, merch to production and all those people. But I think that it's a way of eating up inventory, and it's a win-win for the, the manufacturer, and it is for the design or the brand. So I think that dead stock is really something. And also, like a lot of dead stock, it's a little short-lived. You know what I mean? So I think that the more that we could burn through that, that's just going to be as environmentally friendly and sustainable as anything else we do. So we could start there. That could be the starting point.
Exactly. And I know in talking to a lot of different brands, they're trying to figure out how much dead stock they actually have and what their liabilities really are. I wish there was a way of kind of adding up all those numbers together. And, now there's some platforms to make that easy for the dead stock fabrics. One is Sens NB. Queen of Raw has her platform too for trying to, and I think that's great in this time. We need to have these ways of knowing what's sitting in Asia.
Right.
How do you, as a designer, access that?
Right.
But I think you're right. I mean, it's all around the communication and the discussions that you can have with your partners, your mill partners, because I think everyone's in this together for sure.
Even manufacturing partners, like I designed let's just say this is a seasonal item. So it's like a leopard print on black. Well, that could be all season, but for this brand, it's specifically a holiday item, So we picked a fabric, but, they're not making the minimums, but the mill will do it with an upcharge. And then working with my factory, she's like, oh, I had this beautiful fabric. It has the same stretchability. Well, it's a win-win. She's getting rid of inventory. We got a more superior fabric, had Tencel in it.
Good.
for this client, it's, what I mean? We're going to get quicker delivery, better delivery. So it really was a win-win. So I think that looking at options, like working not only with your mill partners, but with your manufacturing partners, because these factories are sitting on inventory too. They got stiffed by people. So what do you have, So have a discussion.
Yeah, no, exactly. For sure. So, Monique, you talked about, times you've been in Italy, about LA. What do you think will be your next trip? When do you think you'll actually go to an airport?
I was going to go to LA in July. We're still seeing the necessity of it. Do you know what I mean? We're really looking at the necessity. It's not even so much about the cost, but it's really about, or even the, you know, the health aspect, because it'll be like mass and the model will be like sick. But really, okay, if it's for a full-blown proto review, which maybe in August, then I think we should go. But if it's just really more to like, you know, discuss 1 or 2 fits, because we have ongoing blocks, we have the same fit models that know our blocks. So we're really, anyhow, I would probably say LA be my first, but I am a huge kind of crazy animal and monkey lover. I just, right before, well, in August, I came back from Borneo. I was trekking.
Oh,
orangutan.
wow.
Yeah, I was trekking orangutan. I actually worked for a nonprofit planting fig trees for the elephants and the orangutan in because they're getting killed by palm forests, let's say, or palm planting. So I think for Christmas, I'm going to go back to either Uganda or Rwanda to see the chimpanzees. I was there 3 years ago, so I think I'm going back.
That's amazing. What a cool story. Yeah.
So, but LA will be first. Business first, and then monkeys later.
And then monkeys. Yeah. Well, I'm wondering if there's that much of a comparison in business being a little crazy and monkeys. So, you know.
Well, sitting this far away from, his name was Lucky, the patriarch, right? The stud. And I was this far away and watching him eat and watching him how he like interacted with his family. There really is only one chromosome difference. Yes. It's totally amazing.
I love that, Monique. That's great. That's really good. And you're not afraid sitting that close?
No.
Oh.
I mean, I usually go with good guides and, you know, a lot of nonprofits that are really doing this. I mean, the money you pay is really only to keep them alive. Right. You know, in Rwanda, there hadn't been, Uganda just had a kill recently, which was so incredibly sad. But in Rwanda, where I was, there were 17 guards for this one family, 24/7. Wow. And these guards used to be poachers. But because of our money going there, we're paying for those guards. They're making more money than it is. And obviously they're not going to end up in jail and to poach. I mean, and most of these people really love animals. They just kill because of the money, you know?
Yeah.
So it's really, it's really amazing to, I'm not afraid.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Well, it's wonderful that you have, you know, this other aspect and your love of nature, whether it's the bees or the orangutans, you know, it's good to balance out with what you're doing, and great to catch up. Yeah. I'm glad you're doing well, and I hope you get to take your next trip, and look forward to hearing your conversation with Amy next week. Yeah, great. And so good to catch up. Sorry about our little technical difficulties. Oh, no problem. Yeah, and definitely looking forward to your chat with the circle next week. That sounds really interesting. Very good. Thanks, Monique. Appreciate it. Okay, bye.